Welcome to Dark Corners. I'm your host, Izzy Frost. Tonight on Dark Corners, we have horrors from Plainfield, Wisconsin, Ed Gein. Ed Gein remains one of the most infamous figures in American criminal and horror history. While not classified as a traditional serial killer, his gruesome crimes and psychological abnormalities have had a lasting impact on popular culture and criminology. His actions, spanning murder, grave robbery, and macabre craftsmanship using human remains, laid the foundation for some of horror's most unsettling characters. Raised in near-total isolation on a farm in Plainfield, Wisconsin, under the strict guidance of his mother Augusta, she imposed extreme religious beliefs, fostering in Ed a deep-seated fear of women and a warped view of morality. Augusta's dominance shaped Ed, leaving him socially stunted and emotionally dependent. Though unlike Ed, Henry, Ed's older brother, he resisted Augusta's strict teachings, seeing the world with a more open mind. In 1944, while out in the woods together, Henry died under suspicious circumstances. Though the official report listed accidental asphyxiation as the cause, the details raised questions, but alarms wouldn't go off until years later. That day, Ed and Henry had been burning brush on the farm. Afterward, Henry was found lifeless, but strangely had bruises on his head. Authorities noted that Ed showed no apparent distress about the incident. Some believe Henry's death wasn't an accident at all, but that he had spoken out against Augusta, suggesting that Ed may have played a role. Ed's life was shaped by one person, his mother, Augusta, a woman who preached damnation and filled her son's world with fear. She believed women were wicked and that sin lurked in every corner. Ed listened, obeyed, and clung to her every word. On her death in 1945, his mental state deteriorated rapidly. Alone in the farmhouse, Gein became obsessed with anatomy, death, and reuniting with his mother. On November 16, 1957, the town's hardware store owner, Bernice Warden, goes missing. Her son Frank, a deputy sheriff, finds a receipt showing Ed Gein had been the last customer. The police arrive at his farmhouse expecting an explanation, but they are met with an overwhelming, sinister, and macabre scene. The walls were lined with skin, bowls carved from human skulls, leg bones repurposed into furniture, and a belt made entirely of human flesh. Taking the scenes in stride, they continued their search to the back of the house, where they found field-dressed Bernice Warden hanging naked upside down. Ed Gein didn't just kill, he collected. Where had these people come from? He had only admitted to 2 murders, but his house was filled with human remains. The truth was nightmare fuel. For years, Ed had wandered local cemeteries at night, digging up freshly buried women, searching for bodies that resembled his mother. He took their skin and bones, and even their faces. In his dank, filthy farmhouse, alone in the dark, he would stitch them together to bring Augusta back. He was making a suit of skin to wear in an attempt to become that which once consumed him. On December 8, 1954, a local tavern owner named Mary Hogan disappeared. She was last seen at her bar, where she worked alone. When customers arrived later that evening, they found the tavern empty, with bloodstains on the floor. When she would come up in conversation around town, Ed would laugh and say, "She's not missing. She's up at the farm right now." The townspeople thought it odd, but harmless dark humor, until authorities arrived to search for Bernice Warden on November 16, 1957, 3 years after Mary Hogan's disappearance. Among the many gruesome discoveries inside of his home, police found Mary Hogan's severed head in a paper bag. Gein admitted to shooting Hogan in the head with a .32 caliber pistol and transporting her body back to his home. However, unlike Bernice Warden, Hogan's body was never fully recovered. After being confronted with the evidence found in his farmhouse, including the body of Bernice Worden and numerous human remains, Gein reportedly sat calm and during a break in questioning asked for a slice of apple pie with cheese. The moment stood out because of its eerie normalcy amid the horrors. Ed Gein was officially found unfit to stand trial. Shortly after his arrest in 1957, following a psychiatric evaluation, he was diagnosed with schizophrenia and committed to a mental health institution. He remained institutionalized for over a decade. In 1968, he was reassessed and found competent to stand trial. He was then tried for the Bernice Worden murder, found guilty, and immediately ruled not guilty by reason of insanity, and returned to psychiatric care until his death in 1984. Ed Gein's terror wasn't defined by frequency. His legacy is more defined by detail, which is why he's so woven into the fabric of horror. While we will not glorify his actions indeed, he left an indelible mark on popular culture, becoming the foundation for some of horror's most unsettling characters. Psycho's Norman Bates, Leatherface of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Buffalo Bill from The Silence of the Lambs all took pieces of Gein's story and shaped them into horrific box office successes. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Dark Corners. We would like to dedicate this podcast to the direct victims and families and the millions of everyday lives lost and impacted by mental illness, abject cruelty, and woeful neglect. If you or someone you know are being trafficked or abused, say something. Maybe save a life, maybe even your own. Stay diligent, friends, and always remember to check the dark corners.